Bat music.
He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat
Minute! Greetings, citizens of Gotham, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Returns, the show that devours every minute of Tim Burton's Batman Returns. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And I, just after having cleared my mouth out from a bird I just had in it, this is your other host, Niall McGowan. Oh, it's got all feathers and stuff now. This is really annoying, actually.
Yes, and we are joined today by two very, very special guests.
Yeah.
Just done with our own shadow puppetry as we join you. I'm Norman Mitchell.
Oh my god. And I'm Cassandra Fredrickson, and we're from Lord of the Rings Minute.
Yay! I'm very happy to have you on. Lord of the Rings is one of my favourite things ever, but when it came out, I didn't like it at first. It took me a few years. I don't know why. I think I was in that phase where I was like, I'm too cool for this popular thing.
Oh, yeah.
And plus, all the girls really liked Legolas, and I think it annoyed me. They didn't like... Nobody liked me, the weird goth kid. They liked Legolas. It's like, god damn it.
It's the opposite of Legolas.
Yeah, basically. Ugh. But yes, thank you.
I know, he's kind of preppy, isn't he?
He kind of is, which is weird. Yeah, why does he...
His dad owns a dealership.
Why does he attract the alt crowd, though? Like, the alt girls. They all seem to like him. But yeah, he's kind of got that preppy vibe. He's all blonde.
He's just got the elf ears, man. You get, like, alt girls who will surgically alter their ears to be elf ears and stuff, so I think it must be that.
That's where I was going wrong. I didn't do that.
Yeah, because you get the people, most of them will be attracted to him, and then the ones who are even edgier will be into Hugo Weaving. And I was like, oh, that's when you're getting into it's when you're hardcore.
I can see that. I think he's a handsome man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure Niall agrees.
His silence is deafening.
So the others will be into Hugo Weaving, yeah, the ones that are more interested in older men, let's say.
Yeah.
No, Aragorn, man.
Oh.
Aragorn.
Yeah. Most people's favourite scene in the whole Lord of the Rings is where Aragorn opens those doors.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Yes, it's hard to top.
That's true.
But we should probably talk about Batman. Yes, welcome, everybody, to minute 67 of Bat Minute Returns. The minute starts with aviary consumption, and it ends with dirtiness and filth.
It's like any scene featuring the Penguin that could apply to, basically.
Basically, yes. I could be talking about any minute, really. But no, in this minute, we rejoin Catwoman and the Penguin as Selina is circling the birdcage.
Oh, I think we maybe should mention this like up front, because I know like we'd usually leave this until like the last episode, but I think it might give people an idea about like people's opinions on the movie and stuff, because I believe like Norman, you had seen this movie previously, but Cassandra, you hadn't. So you're new to Batman Returns.
Yes, I actually did not have time to watch the movie in its entirety, so I am watching these 3 minutes completely out of context, and I have not had enough coffee for this minute, because I like opened the file, and then she just reaches in and shoves a bird in her mouth, and I don't know if we can swear on this show, but I was just like, what is happening?
To be honest, that's probably the best way to view it, though, because it's great to have a guest on like that, because, I mean, all of this movie is like, what the It doesn't make any sense in the best possible way.
It's like, without even realizing that, though, it's like, this is probably one of the best bunch of minutes we could give you, just because it is one of the peak moments of, like, oh, this is a weird movie. Like, everything. It's either this or them throwing a friggin' baby in the river, which happens at the beginning.
Oh, no.
Yeah. That's one of the first things you see is a baby being thrown into a river.
The thing, yeah, we do get quite a memorable moment here. Catwoman starts eyeing up the penguin's budgerigar. And I was shocked. I tried to go do research into this bird because most of these things are like available on the Batman wiki. Like you'll get, there was a whole freaking page about Hypurrrbole, Shrek's stuffed dog, and there is no page about this bird. I was stunned.
Oh, it's clearly because nobody can find out any info. I could get nothing from other sources.
I mean, I got a little smidgen of info, just in that its name is Gertrude.
Oh,
This is Gertrude the bird. that's about it.
Oh my god.
I actually found it quite interesting. There must have been a note somewhere, either it was the decision of the actors or Tim Burton himself or something. But you note throughout this entire scene, these two were pretty evenly matched confidence-wise. Like, at no point does Catwoman seem fazed by the Penguin. At no point does Penguin seem worried about what Catwoman, like, as soon as she does this, he goes in to threaten the cat. Notably, in both drafts of the script, it says before she does this, Catwoman is supposed to gulp in panic, as if she's a bit sort of freaked out by, like, oh, the Penguin's kind of threatening me. And then she thinks to do this. Yeah, and this is very much more like, no, she is Cucumber Girl. She is not fazed a jot by this guy. And
No, 'cause throughout the movie, you never once see her phased really until like a bit later on, maybe the end.
yeah, but like not in Catwoman mode anyway. Of course, though, we should get around to the fact that the Catwoman grabs this bird and then shoves it in her mouth and begins to.
Oh my god.
It's one of those things she begins to chow down on the bird, but she's very obviously like not chewing it or anything. She's just sort of holding it in her mouth for a bit and then doing this pantomime, rubbing her stomach and stuff.
I had something to ask about.
Making some suspicious noises.
Yes, very suspicious noises. Now, this is actually the only bit of, like, let's call it sexy acting from Michelle Pfeiffer that I don't like. I normally like that from a character because, it's like her weapon is to be sexy. But this is a bit too over the top. But that's why I can also let it slide. I don't like it, but I can let it slide because I think it is a performance. That's why she's not chewing it, Niall. I think it is just to ensnare the Penguin, like to get him. And she's going to scare him into joining her, basically. Because she doesn't really want to eat the bird. She's not an actual cat.
Well, I mean, she does something in the next minute.
Well,
it's
yeah.
a bit like, well, you'll get your wondering, really.
How much like a cat is Catwoman?
70%? Should we put a figure on it? 71%. I've done the math. I've crunched the numbers.
Of course, though, quite famously, they attempted to do this with an animatronic bird or like a little puppet or something. Didn't work. So Michelle Pfeiffer actually shoved a live bird in her mouth to get these shots.
Oh my god.
I was about to ask about that because the way the bird flies out, I'm just like, is that a camera trick or did she actually try to swallow a bird?
And apparently she actually had the bird in her mouth, and apparently it was in there for quite some time.
Yeah.
For the amount of
That
shooting.
is either a very patient bird or Michelle Pfeiffer has quite a tolerance for pain.
Yeah.
Because I imagine a bird would be trying to get its way out.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, God, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
She's quoted as saying, I regret doing that. I could have gotten a disease. So,
Yeah.
Birds are dirty, dirty creatures.
They are, yeah.
They're like tiny dinosaurs. I don't want that. Yeah.
I like the way as well, I have a quote from her where she said, "It seemed fine at the time. I don't think the bird was drugged or anything." I don't think. Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
That does kind of answer one little question I've always had as to why so immediately underneath her bottom lip, her skin's very red. And it's like, it's probably because that bird's been in there a while and it's been like pecking to get out and stuff.
Yeah.
See, I assumed it was
I just
the lipstick.
assumed that was her lipstick smearing.
Yeah.
From the way that she shoved it in. Because she kind of drags her hand across her face.
Oh,
So
yeah, well, maybe
she's-
God, I can't believe that's a real bird.
Great. But if your lipstick smears like that, A, it's not good enough lipstick, and B, you need to set that stuff. Get a setting spray. I know you're not meant to put it in your mouth,
Yeah.
but needs must.
Back in '92, like they worked with what they had, you know. Maybe they didn't have that
setting
stuff
spray
back
is a
then.
new concept. I don't know.
No, maybe this was the best they could do. It's like, yeah, we don't have any of that stuff. I mean, there was a big major movie, so it's like, well, you think they would spring for everything, but
Let's be honest, right? They smear the lipstick because it looks cool and it just kind of looks sexy. It does.
They probably also didn't have time between takes touching up the makeup to let it set.
Yeah. It could have been an
I
accident,
guess.
and they left it in. Although he did mention something. I have a quote from him about this. He said, "I don't think I've ever been so impressed. She had a live bird in her mouth while the camera was rolling. It was 4 or 5 seconds, and then she let it fly out. It was before CG. It was before digital. It seems like it was an effect, but it's not. It's all real." And Michelle Pfeiffer also said, "I think Tim likes to torture me a bit. It's like a little brother brat kind of thing. So that's evil." So.
There's also, because I've been sitting on this for a while, it's just like, well, this seems like a relevant minute to bring it up, because I would have assumed, well, maybe Michelle Pfeiffer would have some form of ethical problems with putting a live bird in her mouth, because Michelle Pfeiffer has been for many, many years a very vocal vegan. So much so that at one point she was part of a vegan cult in the 1980s, which was pretty extreme. She credits one of her previous husbands, Peter Horton, as getting her out of it. But basically, the story is that when she was taking acting classes in L.A., she ran into a very friendly couple that ran a metaphysics and vegetarian cult. But they, I'm sure they didn't call it a cult off the top. Apparently, they helped her to.
Oh, we're part of a cult.
Every cult member thinks it's a cult, surely. No.
But they helped her to quit drinking, smoking, and doing drugs, and then they pretty much took control of her entire life. And then she said, much like many cults, she basically started giving them money, and then essentially kind of brainwashed her. At a point, it got so severe at one point, though, that she was pretty much cutting out eating altogether, because they kind of took over as personal trainers. And what was the apparently the highest ranking of their cult was, the state you could achieve was to be a breatharian, where you basically could exist on sunlight alone. Which that was their thing.
So you just turn into a plant. That's crazy.
An
Yeah,
ant.
that's basically pretty much what they're going for.
Oh my god.
This is our leader, Treebeard.
You would have to change your name to that.
But apparently what happened then was that Peter Horton, who's also an actor, they had hooked up, and then he was doing research because he had gotten a part in a movie about people who were members of, I think, the Church of Enlightenment, who were following Reverend Sun Myung Moon, and the Moonies, as they call them. And apparently she was working with him to do the research, and they were interviewing ex-Moonies who were talking about this is what it's like to be in a cult. And she kind of was listening to this and was like, wait a minute, I think I'm in a cult.
Oh no.
And so after that, Michelle Pfeiffer was no longer trying to be a breatharian. She went back to eating vegan, at least vegan food, and nothing else.
She eats birds. What are you talking about?
But it wasn't at one point. Was there any kind of thing of she's like, I'm really worried I might bite down on this bird though, because if I end up eating this bird, then that's me screwed. How much money I pumped into that stupid breath cult way back when.
Hey, as a vegetarian, I know that sometimes you slip up accidentally. I accidentally ate a marshmallow last week. I completely forgot. Proper ones, real ones, are not vegetarian. I felt awful. Mm-hmm. I felt terrible. So I feel her pain with that.
I legit thought that marshmallows were just pure sugar, and that was it.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, they've got gelatin in some, the fancy ones, the nice ones. The cheap ones are actually the ones I can eat. So I have to get the worst ones you can buy in the store.
Well, due to a coworker of mine, I happen to know that Junior Mints and Oreos are vegan.
Oh.
Well, they're not vegan. They just don't have any animal products in them. That doesn't mean they're like sustainably sourced or like whatever.
But they contain no animal products or animal byproducts.
So what's the cream stuff in the middle?
Sugar.
I should have known. It's America after all.
There's no milk or soy in Oreos.
I think there's soy.
I think.
Oh.
I know there's soy in Junior Mints. I don't know about Oreos off the top of my head.
Oh, that's so weird.
It's got lecithin or whatever it's called in it.
Oh.
Oreos might, but I don't think so.
I can understand with the well, as we call it, the biscuit part. I don't know what you call it, the cookie part. I don't know. I can understand that, but the cream. Oh, it's obviously not cream then. Whatever the hell that is in the middle. What do we call it?
It's just stuff. They call it stuff.
True, actually.
It's a double stuff Oreo.
Oh, that's true. Oh my god.
That's how they
It's
legally
the
get
stuff.
around it.
I think now you can open this avenue to John's. Every time I see him, he's just going to be munching down Oreos. Like, no, finally, something I can enjoy again.
I already do that half the time anyway. It's fine. I'm only a vegetarian, not a vegan.
Right.
I could. 99% of my diet is cheese based. I don't know how I'm not fat.
But we get then the penguin in response to this motions towards Miss Kitty and then starts petting her, and then takes out his the little knife at the end of his umbrella, and of course due to this, the Catwoman's like, all right, fair enough. You know, she lets the bird go. He lets Miss Kitty go. And it seems like, I was saying these two are pretty evenly matched. But in, again, both drafts of both other drafts of the script that I've looked at, this thing with Miss Kitty doesn't happen. Like, as soon as she puts the bird in her mouth, the penguin panics and says, like, oh no, don't hurt Gertrude. That's how I know she's called Gertrude, the bird.
You know why it doesn't happen in those other ones? Because, if you remember from the last couple of minutes, in his hands, he doesn't have this umbrella.
Oh, yeah.
He has the umbrella dildo.
That's
which is
right,
in the draft. It doesn't have a knife on the end. It literally has a dildo on the end.
As a protrusion of
Protrusion, yes. That
What
is
the heck?
yes.
Oh my god.
We talked about it with Neil and George last week. He caresses Catwoman's thigh with his umbrella dildo in the draft.
I just wonder though if there was
Yikes.
if there was just notes though
Yeah.
from someone though that was like, no, we don't want like, so that means like this it would seem then the Catwoman has one over on the Penguin, but at this state they're both kind of at a stalemate where it's like, yeah, they're both as bad as each other and like no one's got anything any edge on anyone else or anything. But yeah, so I don't think there's no clarification anywhere about exactly why that is, but they changed it, so. We just want we want to throw in a bit more cruelty to animals in this movie because we thought the bird in the mouth was bad, wasn't bad enough. So we're just hoping we can really
Gotta threaten a cat.
Yeah.
So,
It's always cats. It's never a dog in a movie when like a bad guy's threatening someone's pet. It's always a cat.
I don't know, man. John Wick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, but like it's like it seems like more often than not it's a cat.
Yeah, if it's a threat, it's a cat. If it's like a horror movie where the monster kills something, it's a dog. I think that's the only time it's really the dog. Or the cat, actually. Sometimes it's the cat as well.
Good, because it's kind of an implied threat to Barney and Gremlins, where they truss him up in the Christmas lights and stuff. But I don't know if that's supposed to be a threat or more like, no, they just did that to the dog for kicks, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's why gremlins do everything. For kicks.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing else in their mind but, what will make me laugh? Which is a great way to live your life. No, it's not. Please don't listen to me.
Like, are the gremlins?
Okay, the Joker.
The gremlins, I don't even know if they're necessarily malicious. They're just callous.
Yeah, yeah. They just don't think about their actions and the harm they're causing.
But again, though, as I was saying, like I was trying to Google, like, oh, there must be a wiki page for this bird. But like, I'm very disturbed to find that if you Google Batman Returns bird, you get led to a Wikipedia page for the comic book henchman bird, who is like one of Bane's sidekicks, and he's just the lamest guy. Actually, looks a bit like Legolas. Actually, has like blonde hair and a ponytail and stuff. And his whole thing is that he's got birds. Like he can make a bird come back to him stuff. It's like this guy is the lamest thing because that's at the end of the whole Nightfall saga.
What is he, Snow White, the DC villain?
I know. Oh my god.
But he's only really got the one hawk as well. It's just like he has like a little hawk mitt. That's his big thing. He's like, I've got this hawk.
Why does he have like 100 hawks?
Well, hawk is a way cooler name than bird.
Yeah.
Well, Hawk Girl is already.
Oh, true.
There's already like a Hawk Girl.
And there's already literally a hero called Hawk. Hawk and Dove.
Oh shoot! Yeah, that's true.
Well,
Isn't that Marvel?
No, Hawk and Dove is DC.
Oh.
They're actually in that Titans show that's coming out. Or it came out.
Oh my god.
I think when this... Is it out at the moment? It's not out at the moment. And when this episode drops, it won't be out? I don't know. Am I behind the times?
I think it's airing currently on their streaming thing as of recording.
Oh, on the... See, yeah. I don't care if I'm covering a DC movie, right? I'm not paying for their streaming service.
Oh, you can't.
Sorry, sorry, DC. Unless you give it to me for free for doing your work here. No.
We can't even get it over here. It's just like, no, we don't get these.
Yeah, but Niall, I have ways of cheating it. I had Hulu for a year. That's something you can't get in the UK.
You can't get Hulu in the UK?
Oh, no. We don't have Hulu. No. So, through an elaborate system, I would... Let me try and think how to word it. I would buy a fake credit card in Thailand, right? But it's got them. I'm paying, so it's real. It's money. So don't worry, I'm not stealing anything. So I would buy this card in Thailand and register it to an address in Alaska, right? Because there's no sales tax in Alaska. Amazing. So then I would sign up to Hulu with that and use the address that the card is registered to be the billing address for Hulu, and then I could access Hulu via my VPN.
That is hilarious.
That's amazing.
Yeah, nobody's losing out. They're getting money. They're still getting the same money.
Well, the thing though is just like this one of the low tier Batman villains is the pirate, and it's just like this guy's getting Hulu in a different country for the same price.
He's just some guy living in his dad's basement.
Oh, that would be
He's got a room over the garage or something.
I am on board for this villain. Can I play him, please, in Gotham or something?
Well, they got one more season left, so in the
It's
middle
about
of
time
like
to
all
bring him in.
the giant climactic stuff, they're like, oh yeah, we've got an episode about this guy as well.
Played by some random Englishman you've never seen. She sits down here, right? Well, first, actually, she drops the sexy shtick, which is interesting because she becomes herself.
See, I don't find that shtick sexy at all, though. I just thought that was more a mocking... Because it's all the rubbing the tummy and stuff. It's not as if, like, the penguin's there going, oh, it's pretty hot. Like, I know he's going to do that in a minute.
Well, not necessarily the eating the bird, but I mean, like, the whole persona she puts on to men and the penguin in the rest of the scene.
Oh, yeah.
The way she's talking to him in that sensual kind of way. It's basically so men fall at her feet. And this now, because the cat's been threatened, she's like, right, fine, enough of this. Let's just get down to business. She completely changes tone, which I like. But then when she sits down, is it just me, or does her outfit look different?
It looks like it's much more sucked in at the center or something.
I thought it did at the center, and the rest was baggier, I thought.
It might just be necessary to sit down.
Impossibly tight when she sits down.
Yeah.
Even though she does have to sit down very, like, purposefully and carefully of, like, yes, this is the... You can't just, like, jump down in the bed, because otherwise you just hear a... Obviously, everything's just like, right, I have to keep everything intact here, so carefully, daintily sit down and just hope that nothing happens. And even then, because the penguin's just checking out her back area, shall we say. And you could know even Danny D himself could be like, maybe there will be a tear. Maybe Danny D is going to look out in this situation.
Besmirching his good name there, Niall.
I mean, he himself is very, like, every interview he's ever done about playing the penguin, he's just talking about, like, how gorgeous Catwoman is, and how I'm like, oh, at one point he's just like, oh, she should get rid of that guy up in the hill, she should be mine, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, I do know, you just wonder how much of Danny D is actually invested in this character.
I mean, you can't blame him. She is one of the first sort of characters I saw and was like, intrigued by, shall we say. As a kid, I was like, "Ooh, what's this?"
But yeah, this is the line we kind of talked about this during the minute where it happened. But like, yeah, she specifically says, "Batman napalmed my arm," and then so we was like, I guess that stuff was napalm. I think that blue stuff in the little canister was. I thought napalm was a completely different kind of thing, but I guess that's what it was.
I think she's just exaggerating for effect.
It's hyperbole.
Yeah. It only burnt her arm a little.
Hyperbole.
Yes.
For years, I remember calling it Hypurrrbole because I only saw it written down, and then like
Yeah, same.
like in my late teens, piecing together, like, wait a minute, I've heard this term hyperbole. I've seen this Hypurrrbole, and they seem to mean the same thing.
It's beyond the Super Bowl, Niall.
They're British. They don't know.
Oh well, you say that, but for some reason, over here they keep trying to make the Super Bowl a thing, right? No other game of American football ever, but the Super Bowl. They're like, let's try and make that a thing again this year, and. Some people do seem to get into it and care and stay up till stupid hours of the morning to watch it. But most people are just
That's funny.
We don't know what's going on. It lasts about 150 hours. We can't be bothered.
Right?
It's too long. It's too much. Like when the action's happening, I understand. I'm like, oh, okay, this is exciting. But then there'll be like another 5-minute break, and you're like, ugh.
That's like over here though as well. Like we know of American things like Thanksgiving. Like I know exactly what Thanksgiving is, but I've never needed to celebrate. It's like, why would I? But it's just through American TV shows. I've had it hoisted into me. I'm like, this is exactly what it is. I've had episodes of Rugrats where they explain to you what Thanksgiving is.
I absolutely guarantee you, in about 10 years or so, we'll have Thanksgiving over here. Because they want to sell it as a product, so they'll repurpose it and say, well, it's not about like it is in America, but we're gonna make it like just a celebration of being thankful. Like, what are you thankful for this year? That's what they'll brand it as, and they'll sell it to us, and it'll become a thing.
Well, it does have a kind of negative vibe from a lot. Because I don't know when we had on. I was around when Thanksgiving happened. I don't know. I think I was recording Lord of the Rings with you guys around that time, and we had Kiri Callaghan on that weekend. And I was like, "Oh, how was your Thanksgiving, Kiri?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't really do that." And she's just like, "Nah, just not ethically. Got problems with it and stuff. So nah, I don't do Thanksgiving." It's like, oh, I've heard that from some people as well. So maybe I don't know. Maybe they'll have to do a complete rebranding of it. It'll have to be like the new Coke. It's like new Thanksgiving. It's a hip new trend.
Yeah, because new Coke worked out so well.
It's gonna be like like advertisements of like guys throwing off the pilgrim hats and putting on backwards baseball caps and stuff, like graffitiing. It's like, oh, Thanksgiving's cool now, guys.
That's very 1994.
I mean, that's appropriate for this movie, right?
Exactly.
The
And that's
90s
how
are back,
old we
guys.
are.
Come on, the 90s are back. Like, we got through about 20 years of 80s nostalgia, and we finally arrived back at the 90s now. So chokers are in. Like they had that O.J. Simpson show. They're back. You go into the town, you'll see friggin' mannequins with the Shire Horowitz's outfits all over the place and stuff. It's big.
Yes, love it.
And yet Alicia Silverstone has not come back. She still says like, oh, maybe the career will get revived. No.
Give it time. Give it time now.
They'll make a Clueless sequel.
She's waiting.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did pitch a Clueless sequel now. It's just like, yeah, but now is the time. What would Cher be doing these days and stuff?
Oh no, you know what they would do though? This is so off topic, I don't care. That's what our show is. They would make it like she's got a kid. And, you know, she's all grown up and stuff. And it'll be about millennial kids. And, like, it'll be the same kind of thing, but laughing about that. It's, oh, no, it would be cringy.
Isn't Clueless based on, Emma? Isn't it? It's Emma. That's
it's
the Jane Austen story.
So we need to get Jane Austen to write a sequel to Emma. And
Jane
she's still around, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's the thing, because I did wonder, like, Clueless is still quite a popular movie, but it's in these days now, because everyone's more socially, politically aware and stuff, it's like, you're basically watching White Privilege, the movie, like, this girl's problems, where she's just rich white woman. And
you're not meant to sympathise with the problem. You are kind of meant to be laughing at her.
I mean, like, the whole time, she's never portrayed as being all that bad, though. Because even in the end of the movie, it's like, no, Shire's still a pretty good person and stuff.
She's
I mean,
not
it's not to
evil.
condemn every rich
And
white
then
person.
she gets
as evil,
everything she wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she is always trying to help other people and stuff. But I don't know, for some reason, it just got pumped into my head because last night I saw, for the first time in years, the New Radical song, you got the music in you.
Oh, God, yeah.
I was watching the video for it, and it was just like, because usually I wouldn't pick up on it, but I was just watching, it's like, this is a sea of white people. Like, there is not one ethnically diverse person in this whole video. And the whole thing is just like, these are the rebellious kids striking out against those rich mall shoppers and stuff. And it's just like, oh yeah, and that bit with the guys, like, one of the lyrics is like, well, kick your asses. It's like, you are so lame, man. Everything about this is so white and it's so lame. It's just like, oh my God, this song would not be a hit nowadays.
We were all lame, Niall. We were all lame.
To be fair, though, the bucket hat, I'm bringing it back. I'm going to bring that damn bucket hat back.
Oh my god.
I wore a bucket hat.
Really?
Yeah, I did too.
It said it was a Saab bucket hat.
A what?
Oh.
The car brand Saab had a Saab bucket hat.
I just thought it was like a very sad bucket hat you had for it. Because people would make fun of me for wearing it, and then I'd take it off my head and then cry into it. It was my sob bucket hat.
I don't know if mine's better or worse. I had a bucket hat that was branded with The Rock, the wrestler.
Ah. Oh,
It
that
had
sounds
his
like that'd
logo
be,
on it, that Brahma bull.
That sounds like that'd be pretty cool.
Oh man.
Did you wear a what do they call them in the UK? I was going to call them a fanny pack, but I think that's a bad word in the UK.
Oh yeah, we call it, which is probably an even weirder name, a bum bag.
Oh, okay. That's so cute.
But yes,
A
I
bum
frequently wore a bum bag in the early 90s. Yes.
Well, wrestlers did in the early 90s. You were just trying to be
Yeah,
like
that's
the
why.
wrestler.
Because The Rock.
That is almost definitely what I was trying to do. Pre-rock, though, it was the time of like your Macho Man and your Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, when off duty, they all wore a bum bag. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to be cool. I'm going to get
Well,
Zupas.
those exist.
Yeah.
Like those exist partially for like bodybuilders at the gym to still have their stuff with them.
What?
Yeah,
what do
That's
they
part
need?
of the purpose.
They need like a granola bar. We didn't have cell phones
like
yet.
your wallet and your watch and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
You keep your stuff with you, not in the locker room.
Yep. Like once I wore a kilt. Once when I wore a kilt, and I really appreciated the sporran at the front because I could keep money in it and like all kinds of things. I had gum, all kinds of things in this sporran. It was fantastic.
That's just the ancestor of the bum bag.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
the
Basically,
purse.
it's a furry bum bag, which sounds hideous. Jesus.
I guess it
I'm
would
sure-
sound worse to a UK listener if you called it a furry fanny pack.
No.
or better, depending on what you're into.
I'm gonna make
No,
a point
not
like
judging.
when this episode comes out to like alter the Batman logo, like me and John just like Photoshop in little bucket hats and put a kilt on John. I'm just not saying anything. Just the weekend before, but like, nope, it's just changed now for that reason.
Oh God, we should probably talk about Batman for another minute before we wrap up.
Oh man. Oh
So
yeah,
the-
I actually.
Oh yeah, the shadow puppet.
The Napoleon Dynamite thing.
The Napoleon.
Oh my God,
Oh my
that is
god.
incredible.
It's the first thing I thought of when I watched this. Is just like, why is what? Napoleon Dynamite just
That's your
flashed
go-to?
through my brain in its entirety, watching
did-
the penguin just like.
What the hell?
I can't believe I didn't think of that. I love that film so much, and I did not even once consider that. Oh my God! In fact, me and this is probably too much information. She is going to be a later guest. Me and my partner had our first kiss while trying to watch Napoleon Dynamite. Because there's nothing
I
more
really
erotic.
like your sleeves.
Oh my god.
Well, we were hanging out. We were watching Napoleon. One thing leads to another, as it does. We ended up not paying much attention to the film. So it holds a special place in my heart, and I did not even think of this.
I always associate the scene as because when I was a kid, obviously obsessed with this movie, I tried to recreate this shadow puppet, lying on my bed so many times, and you just realize, like, oh no, because they've obviously had to set the lights up properly, so it would be that strong, and there's no way that the light behind him would be able
What light
to
behind him?
like,
He's laying on the
get
bed.
that bright in the roof in that spot. That's what I mean. It's like there would be no light behind them. And then it's just I remember always having to try to put my fingers in the penguin finger formation to see if and it never looked right. And you might get a little minor one, and I was just like, "No, it's just not good enough." Like, and for years I was just like, "I'm just not good enough." And now I was just realizing, no, they obviously had a whole big system.
I'm sorry, the penguin killed your self-esteem now.
There probably is some guy out there though who is like the lighting technician. Probably was. I'm sure they didn't get Danny DeVito in to do this, so there probably is some guy out there who's just like in bars and stuff. But he's just like, "Hey, so you know when Batman Returns when the penguin's like doing the shadow puppet in the roof? That's me. That's these hands, baby." Just be like doing a proper like reaching for his drink, just like you see him, whoa, and then just doing the little flutter in the fingers and stuff.
Catwoman then comes out with a line that to me doesn't really make a lot of sense. I think it is just there again to be sexual. She says, "The thought of busting Batman makes me feel all dirty." Makes her feel dirty? Why? I don't understand. Shouldn't she say like, "Oh, it's exciting" or something like that? That makes sense.
It's only there to lead into her giving herself a bath. That's the only reason that it's
just
that she says it's dirty.
The next minute.
There's other ways you could have got that line in, though, about being dirty. The thought of busting Batman makes me feel dirty. What? What are you trying to say there?
Well, she's a villain.
And busting makes her feel good.
Busting. Oh my god.
I love that line. Once for Halloween, I went out as a Ghostbuster, and everyone I walked past in town just started doing the dance and the song to me. It was great. I never felt so popular.
Like people then seeing you the next day in your normal clothes, like, "Oh, boo! Put the suit back on."
No, this is me. My normal clothes fluctuate between t-shirt and jeans, weird punk bondage clothes, and a dress. So it's always a bit weird.
That's awesome. You should make a Ghostbusters dress.
Right?
They should. Although I've seen in a fancy dress shop here, there's, as they have to with everything these days, there's sexy Ghostbuster outfit for women. It's like, why?
No, man,
Why
just wear a khaki dress and find a proton pack.
That's exactly what it is, though. That's the thing. Why would a woman who's a Ghostbuster be wearing a dress or like a short, skimpy outfit? No, she wouldn't. She'd be wearing overalls like the men.
Right? So you don't get covered in slime.
Exactly. Oh my god.
Or ectoplasm, I guess is the technical term.
Yes, ectoplasm. Welcome to Ghostbusters Minute.
Right.
It's been done.
But no, I actually don't mind the dirty line, because it is a little bit too of, we're going to be touching on it much more when there is this very overtly kinky stuff happening between Batman and Catwoman, and it's an indication that she does have, like, where he was kind of like, oh, he had a moment with her where you can see in his face, it's like, oh yeah, there's a kinship between us, and then this is her kind of a beginning of an indication that she's a bit like, oh, it makes me feel all, and she has that little smile like dirty. It's like it's indicating that there might be an attraction when she's thinking about Batman. And it's like, oh, so you're getting in there, if not like a romantic one, at least like, oh yeah, it's dirty, it's filthy.
Well, it's certainly.
That's also the line. Also reminds me of I don't know if you guys would have seen Black Books, like the Bill Moran sitcom.
I've been interested in watching that. I keep seeing it on my Hulu or my Netflix when I'm flipping through British comedies.
Oh, it's really, really great. But they have an episode where like they have to get in a cleaner because the place is so insanely dingy and filthy. And there's this guy just keeps appearing in this pristine kind of like toothpaste mint like suit. And it's played by Kevin Eldon. And every time he shows up, he just appears behind him and just goes, dirty. and literally like everything, he just looks around like, filthy. At one point, they're just like, the place isn't that filthy, and he just like runs his finger through the air, and then all his white gloves is this big clump of dirt and stuff. But it's a great show, and that's a great episode. So by all means, people go out and watch Black Books. Yes. But it's now anytime I hear the line, anyone say dirty, I'm just like, dirty.
Well, the Penguin certainly likes the line. It's piqued his interest. It's rekindled, isn't it? He's like, oh. Oh, yeah.
What do you mean,
This guy's
dirty?
interest could get more piqued.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
how dirty are we talking?
When I was watching these for the first time, like watching this minute, I was like, oh no, they are not about to bone on this bed right now. I quit life.
Well, where do you stand? Is Danny DeVito sexy?
No.
I'm sure some people think so, but they're not me.
Yeah. Especially
Actually, though, because you guys weren't here for the last movie, because we did have a running thing when I was stunned to find out that people did not find Jack Nicholson to be a sexy guy. Because I was grown up believing that like Jack Nicholson's regarded as a very sexual, sexy guy. And then we had I think it was one mentioned it randomly to a guest, and she was like, "Oh God, no!" And then had to ask everybody then afterwards, like, "Well, so what's your opinion? So you guys, Jack Nicholson, sexy or no?"
I don't know. Tastes change. Maybe in the 70s people thought he was sexy.
I mean, at one point people thought Nicolas Cage
exactly,
was
yeah,
sexy.
exactly. Like Nicolas Cage was like the big lead in all these movies. It's like this sexy action hero, Nicolas Cage.
He's handsome.
No.
He's got a charm.
Yeah, he is charming, but I wouldn't call him sexy by any means.
What about Christopher Walken?
No.
I have lady friends that think Christopher Walken is a
Lady
very attractive
friends.
older man.
Yeah, he is.
Actually.
He's another one. He's got charisma. He's unique looking. He's not ugly, is he?
Unless he's in Sleepy Hollow, I guess, with the vile teeth.
Yeah. Oh no, that does it for me. That's I like weird teeth. Right. This is a thing. I have a thing for like strange teeth. I'm trying to think of an example that's not hideous, because I don't like hideous teeth, like deformed teeth.
Austin Powers.
No,
John
no,
always
that's
had a
gross,
thing for
you
Austin
see.
Powers.
No, that's not good. I like
The Penguin. John always had a thing for the Penguin. in this movie.
Penguin.
I like people who have especially like gaps in their teeth. Like that. That's a thing I enjoy.
We're just learning all kinds about you today.
But anyway, I think we're kind of done. We're kind of done with this minute. So shall we move on with the
Yes.
to the next?
We will head into the dark night. But before we do, would our wonderful guests from Lord of the Rings Minute like to tell our listeners where they can find them online and whatnot?
Yes. So you can find us on duelinggenre.com or lordoftheringsminute.com, whatever is easier for you. And we're done with our second season. We're done with Two Towers. But you have over 400 episodes of backlog to listen to if you are interested.
Good God.
And we're also on Twitter and Facebook. We're on Twitter at LOTR Minute and Facebook as Lord of the Rings Minute. So if you like that stuff, come hang out with us.
You better like that stuff. You better do, because I do. I love
Right.
it. I love the movie. I love the show as well. So check it out, everybody.
Oh, thank you.
And so check that out and check us out, which I'm sure you probably have done. Otherwise, you're a weirdo if you're joining us at this point. But we are on Facebook at the Bat Minute Listeners Cave, and we're on Twitter at Bat Minute. We're on Instagram. There's a Tumblr, apparently, which we don't use. And Tumblr's going to die any day now because of
Right.
recent changes they made, which we won't go into here. So we'll probably be gone from there, but whatever. So check us out, send us messages, review us on iTunes, and we will see you again on Wednesday for... Which minute is it? I've forgotten. It's minute 68! We will see you then for minute 68.
Next time, Rub-a-dub-dub, Catwoman's in the tub. The tabby of tempestuousness partakes in an atypical tongue lashing, and the penguin takes it in like it's going out of fashion. But while a television-addled titan contemplates an ultimatum, which ruminating rogue has pause for reflection? Find out Wednesday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.